These are the roughly 600 undersea cables that carry almost everything you do online, and the ships that have been quietly damaging them. This is the story of why the modern internet, the global financial system, and most international communication run through fiber-optic strands, the width of a garden hose lying on the seabed, and what has been happening to that infrastructure since 2022. Let's start with the scale of what we're dealing with. Telegeography, the industry's standard tracker, counts more than 600 active and planned submarine cable systems worldwide, with over 1.5 million kilometers in service as of early 2026. The International Telecommunication Union puts the figure closer to 1.7 million kilometers, long enough to wrap around the Earth several times. By the International Telecommunication Union's count, these cables carry about 99% of all international internet traffic. Around $10 trillion in financial transactions flow over them every single day, according to the Financial Services Information Sharing and Analysis Center. When you send an email overseas, when a bank in London settles with a bank in Tokyo, when a video call connects Mumbai to Sao Paulo, it almost certainly travels through one of these cables. The cables themselves are surprisingly ordinary objects. In deep water, the cable runs about as thick as a garden hose, while the actual fibers inside measure roughly the diameter of a human hair, wrapped in plastic and armored with steel wire in shallower waters. Repeaters that boost the signal sit every 60 to 80 kilometers along the route. A single transatlantic cable spanning 7,000 kilometers costs around $250 million to build, according to Telegeography, while trans-Pacific routes can reach $400 million. Ownership of these systems used to belong to telecom consortiums. That has changed dramatically. Bloomberg and the Atlantic Council report that Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon now control or lease around 70% of global undersea bandwidth, with hyperscalers owning stakes in 59 international cables today, up from 20 in 2017. Meta announced Project Waterworth in February 2025, a planned 50,000-kilometer cable that would be the longest in the world, connecting 5 continents. Here is the part that matters for what comes next. Damage to these cables is normal, and it always has been. The International Cable Protection Committee tracks roughly 150 to 200 faults globally every year, a number that has stayed remarkably stable for over a decade. Around 70 to 80% of those faults come from fishing gear or ship anchors, while natural causes like earthquakes and undersea landslides account for about 5%, and equipment failure makes up another 4%. 206 repairs were logged by the ICPC in 2023 alone, across 136 different jurisdictions, and the longest single repair stretched to 947 days. Cables break. They have always broken. The real question is whether what has been happening since 2022 represents something different. The shift began in the Baltic. On October 8, 2023, the Balticconnector gas pipeline between Finland and Estonia suffered damage, along with 2 telecommunications cables in the same area. Finnish investigators traced the damage to the Newnew Polar Bear, a Hong Kong-flagged, Chinese-owned container ship that had been dragging its portside anchor for several hundred nautical miles. Risto Lohi, the lead detective superintendent at the Finnish National Bureau of Investigation, recovered the detached anchor and stated it matched the ship, with the same type of paint detected on the damaged pipeline. By August 2024, China admitted the vessel had caused the damage, but called it an accident and blamed a storm. The Red Sea came next. In February 2024, the MV Rubymar, a Belize-flagged bulk carrier, was hit by a Houthi missile. After the crew dropped anchor and abandoned ship, the vessel drifted for nearly 2 weeks before sinking. During that drift, its anchor severed 4 major submarine cables: AAE-1, SEACOM, EIG, and TGN Gulf. HGC Global Communications estimated the cuts disrupted around 25% of Asia to Europe internet traffic. While the Houthis denied attacking the cables directly, Ryan Wapshall of the ICPC noted that the Rubymar dropping its anchor when fired upon damaged the cables in proximity. November 2024 brought the Yi Peng 3, a Chinese-flagged bulk carrier that had departed the Russian port of Ust-Luga. Investigators implicated the ship in cutting 2 more Baltic cables, the BCS East-West interlink between Lithuania and Sweden, and Sea Lion 1, the line connecting Finland to Germany. 7.5 hours of darkness on the ship's AIS transponder covered the relevant window, and drone footage captured by Danish broadcaster DR showed a mangled anchor on the vessel. Sweden opened a sabotage investigation. Lithuania opened a terrorism investigation, and Chinese authorities refused to give Swedish prosecutors full access during inspection. Eventually, the ship sailed away. Christmas Day, 2024. The Eagle S, a 20-year-old Cook Islands-flagged oil tanker belonging to what was known as Russia's Shadow Fleet, got implicated in damaging the Estlink 2 power cable between Finland and Estonia, along with 4 telecom cables. Finnish special forces helicoptered onto the vessel and seized it. According to Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michal, this marked the first time a ship suspected of sabotaging undersea infrastructure had been taken into custody. Full repair of Estlink 2 did not happen until August 2025, more than 7 months later, at a cost reaching up to 60 million euros. Then, Taiwan. February 2025 saw the Hong Tai 58, a Togo-flagged ship with an all-Chinese crew, boarded by the Taiwan Coast Guard after it damaged a cable to the Penghu Islands. A Taiwanese court sentenced the captain to 3 years in prison in June 2025, the first successful prosecution of its kind anywhere in the world. Here's where it gets complicated, and where the documentary has to be honest. Not everyone agrees these were sabotage. The Washington Post reported in January 2025 that the emerging consensus among U.S. and several European intelligence services was that many of these Baltic incidents looked like genuine maritime accidents caused by inexperienced crews on poorly maintained ships. Sweden formally closed its investigation into one such incident, the Vasion, in February 2025. With the Swedish prosecutor ruling, it came down to a combination of weather conditions and deficiencies in equipment and seamanship, not sabotage. Finland's security service, Supo, cautioned that, as various events are readily attributed to Russia, Russian influencing against Finland may appear more extensive than it truly is. Others remain convinced. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said of the November 2024 Baltic cuts, "No one believes that these cables were cut accidentally." Estonian President Alar Karis offered this: "Repeated damage to Baltic Sea infrastructure signals a systemic threat, not mere accidents." NATO's Deputy Supreme Allied Commander, Europe, Admiral Sir Keith Blount, told CBS News that dragging an anchor along the seabed and damaging cables is stupid and something you've got to try really hard to achieve, calling the accident claims not credible. What everyone does agree on is who has been operating in these waters. Russia's GUGI, the main directorate of deep-sea research, runs around 50 vessels built for deep-water operations. Its flagship, the Yantar, carries submersibles capable of reaching 6,000 meters deep. The Royal Navy has been openly shadowing it. Late December 2025 brought a remarkable disclosure when the UK Ministry of Defence released a photograph of a British submarine surfacing alongside the Yantar in UK waters. Defence Secretary John Healey put it bluntly, "My message to President Putin is clear. We know what you are doing, and we will not shy away from robust action to protect Britain." The response has been historic. January 14th, 2025 saw NATO launch Operation Baltic Sentry, deploying ships, submarines, maritime aircraft, satellites, and surveillance drones to protect Baltic seabed infrastructure. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned that ship captains must understand that potential threats to our infrastructure will have consequences, including possible boarding, impounding, and arrest. The European Union followed in February 2025 with a Cable Security Action Plan, allocating €347 million under its Connecting Europe facility for 13 named cable projects of European interest. August 2025 brought the U.S. Federal Communications Commission's adoption of new rules barring foreign adversary entities from submarine cable licenses, the first comprehensive update since 2001. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr said that we have seen submarine cable infrastructure threatened in recent years by foreign adversaries like China. According to a 2025 study by Telegeography and Infra Analytics, 2/3 of the world's cable maintenance ships will reach end of life by 2040. Only around 60 major cable ships exist in the entire world, and most are converted second-hand vessels. The study estimates $3 billion, 15 replacement vessels, and 5 new ones are needed to keep up. Aaron Murphy of CSYS put the stakes plainly to CNBC. If you cut a cable, you can cut off multiple countries from internet access, and that includes financial transactions, banking, e-commerce, and basic communications. That is what makes this story so unsettling. Whether the recent damage comes mostly from accidents involving a growing shadow fleet of badly maintained tankers or coordinated sabotage by state actors using plausible deniability, or most likely some combination of both, the underlying vulnerability remains the same. The internet, the global financial system, and most international communication ride on a thin, sparsely defended, lightly repaired network of fiber-optic cables on the seabed, a network that is fragile. Around 600 systems carry the world's data. Roughly 60 ships exist to fix them when they break. 99% of international internet traffic travels the seafloor, along with $10 trillion a day in financial transactions. The most vulnerable weapon is not a missile or a virus. It is a cable, the width of a garden hose, lying in the dark, waiting for the next anchor to drag across it.